Shia Labeouf. What is a Shia Labeouf? Who is Shia Labeouf? These are the questions we are asking in our trying times. I don't know personally, but I do know one thing. He's America's creative wild card. 1 minute he's making a Transformers, the next he's going full frontal for Nymphomaniac. He's entertained us for years, whether you like him, whether you hate him, whether you think he's a great actor, whether you think he's a pretentious douchebag, he's entertained us for years. And I'd like to take the opportunity to take it back to a simpler time in Shia's career and our lives, to when he was just trying to make it big in Hollywood. And a movie that was a pivotal milestone in his career that made him a big star was a little movie called Breakfast with Einstein. Breakfast with whom? Are we talking about like Fruit Loops with the guy who created the theory of relativity? Oh no, it looks like some kitty dog movie. Definitely gotta check it out. In this 42-episode documentary on Shia Labeouf's career, I'd like to take the opportunity to talk about a flawed but better than average film called The Battle of Shaker Heights.
I'm Shia Labeouf. I'm playing Kelly, and I came to say hi to the directors and see how everything works.
Good to see you. My pleasure.
I'm 16. I've only been acting for like 5 years. It's almost like a rookie, you know. Kelly's very close to me, man. Honestly, like, just it seems kind of natural in who I am. Everything with the parents, everything that's going on with the parents I lived. The family and the story and the family that I have are almost like the same family. My mom's an artist, hippie. My dad, he's not a crackhead, but you know, he's been down that line. My father's a lot like Kelly's father.
Like Abe.
Yeah. So.
How's your relationship with him?
Really good, really good. He's off drugs. He's an Alcoholics Anonymous. He's a good guy. Oh crap! I shouldn't have said that. Jesus. Anonymous.
Ben Affleck and Matt Damon are actors who created a show called Project Greenlight to help rookie filmmakers make a film for Miramax in the hopes of shooting their careers off into stardom and making Miramax some cha-ching. The two directors won the directing category, and the writer Erica Beanie, sorry if I butchered your name, won the writing category for her script called The Battle of Shaker Heights. So I'm not going to get into the whole drama behind the scenes of The Battle of Shaker Heights. I suggest that you watch Season 2 of Project Greenlight if you want the full details of every little nitty-gritty thing that happened behind the scenes. But I will be mentioning some important things that hindered or helped the movie that relates to behind the scenes. But besides that, I do recommend that you watch that season of Project Greenlight. It was a good season. Why am I promoting an HBO show? One more thing I'd like to mention, Shia Labeouf came into this movie a hungry young actor looking to push himself, looking for something a little more realistic, some grit to it.
Kelly's looking at his father all tubed up and looking like he's about to die. It's the point where Kelly gets over the shit he has with his father, and he does it in a matter of moments with his eyes. I'm reading that scene and going, whoa, if that scene can be done right, that'll make this movie. That'll just, I'm hungry for that scene. I want that scene, you know. It's one of those make or break scenes in a movie. Who's gonna be the father?
That's something we're still working out.
So I believe that's enough context to tell you without actually getting into the film. So with that said, I think we should talk about the movie finally. The film's lead character, Kelly, is a flawed character. In the beginning of the movie, he is only out for himself, and that is the arc of the movie. He is also a masculine character. He has a backbone, and it's so goddamn refreshing to see that in a movie. Because nowadays, in coming-of-age movies, all we get are these teen boys who are like, oh, I'm so misunderstood, but I'm sexy. Whenever I watch these Netflix coming-of-age movies, I'm always like, oh yeah, I'm an Abercrombie & Fitch model on the side also. So relatable. In the modern coming-of-age lead, they don't have a backbone. They just kind of let the bully insult them, and they have it roll off their shoulders. Sometimes they may have a comeback and everything. They might stand up for themselves, but it's not like this character does it. He's relentless. He does not let anybody pick on him without him coming back at them 10 times harder, and it's refreshing in my opinion.
Hey, G.I. Jane. Disrespected my dad.
Give me a break.
I think you need to apologize to him.
To that chump? No way.
Why are you dicking with me, you little dick? You wanna play dick face?
You just use dick as a noun, adjective, and a verb. That's pretty impressive.
Okay.
And my least favorite thing about the modern coming-of-age lead is whenever the fucking screenwriter gets lazy, they're just like, okay, let's make him make a joke about how crazy his situation is. They're spazwads who quip about how crazy their situation is. This movie does not do that. Thank God. This guy, he has actual normal teenage banter. What he says is crude and rude, but it's never about his situation. He doesn't want to talk about that, which is what teens do. They don't want to talk about what's going on in their life, really. They just kind of want to escape. And so when he's interacting with everybody but his family, he's actually having realistic teenage dialogue. And is it funny all the time? No. Nobody's perfect with jokes. Sometimes they land, sometimes they don't. And in this movie, most of them do not land, but it just gives it this atmosphere that he doesn't use his shitty life as an avenue to garner anyone's attention. He just tries to impress people, and it's really refreshing. It's different. This gives me hope that there is more things to be said and done instead of this face value shit from Stranger Things or 13 Reasons Why. And that's why those shows, I believe, dip in quality, because their relationships is face value with a backplate of, oh, it's the 80s, isn't this cool, just like your childhood? Oh, hey, it's suicide, this is realistic and, supposed to be dramatic, and you're supposed to feel something, but you don't feel anything. You know why? Because they're surface level characters in a surface level story. There's nothing more complicated than it being that. In this movie, there is some complex things. Is it fleshed out fully? That's the issue with the two new directors, is it doesn't get fully realized. Kelly's jokes don't always land, and because he's a flawed character, he doesn't know when to stop doing the joke telling or telling people straight up how it is. So, his mouth gets him into trouble. It's so facto, enter the bully character. I like how the bully is handled in this movie. He's a dick, you don't want him to beat up on Kelly, but at the same time, Kelly kind of gets himself into trouble with him, and he always is the one starting shit. He could just shut up and just be like, yeah, whatever, I don't really care what you think, but he has to come up with a remark that is 10 times harder than what he says, because he is smarter than this bully character. But even when he gets tripped, he's like, yeah, your mom's gay.
Morning, Private Ryan. Like my new hat?
Yeah, actually. I got one just like it. It's just mine's infested with lice.
Really? You're just a regular carrot top, aren't you?
Oh my God.
One day, me and you are gonna be alone. Won't that be nice?
Too bad my mom won't let me date yet, huh?
That's a good one, buddy. Got dental insurance?
Why do you mess with him?
You're right. I should give him a break.
I mean it.
And that's Kelly not being a perfect character. He's looking for a fight when he really shouldn't. He's enticing something when he should stop. He should have the brain capacity to stop. And that's the great thing. The story is about him being a flawed character and being better by the end. The family dynamic in this movie immediately had me interested and intrigued. Kelly tries to walk into the kitchen, his dad tries to talk to him and pal around with him, and Kelly's just not having any of it. And you go, oh, well, that's interesting. I mean, for me personally, it subverted my expectations. I was expecting one thing, I got another thing, and I think the way that they did that with putting it so early on in the movie, just one single scene to exemplify that this relationship is not okay. There's turmoil, there's tension there, and you immediately go, what's going on? Why is there tension there? I want to know. That's the Chekhov's gun of this movie. By the end of this movie, you need to answer the question of why is there turmoil, why is everybody angry at each other, and I think the twist is very satisfying. I think that it gives you enough information that when you rewatch the movie, you go, oh, so that's why that character acted that way. That's why Kelly's being a dick, and that's why Kelly is so shut off from his family and he doesn't give a shit about them. Behind the scenes, there was worries that the family dynamic in this movie was going to be like a melodrama and overacted, and I feel like it was actually handled very well. The family dynamic, it didn't become a blurfest. No one acted like a Lifetime movie with like the pain, tears, and everything. So and especially Shia, when he's supposed to act pissed off, you know, I relate. I understand where he's coming from, and I'm like, you did a great job just exemplifying a pissed off teenager, dude.
Father's gone downhill. They have him on dialysis.
Well, that's perfect.
Why would you say something like that?
I don't know. It just seems to fit.
Seems to fit. Do you understand what I just said?
No, Mom, why don't you say it again?
When are you going to forgive him?
When am I gonna forgive him? That's quite a question, Ma. When am I gonna forgive him? Remember when we don't live in a house that's always for sale? I don't know. You know, I'll forgive him when I go to college. That's when I'll forgive him. I can't go, can I?
And I'm like, oh my god, this is so good. I've never wanted to be a Shia Labeouf gift more than now. Kelly, at the beginning of the film, makes a friend called Bart. He's called Bart, but his name's Bart also. Bartholomew. At the beginning of the movie, Kelly makes a friend named Bart. He's the actor from Idle Hands, The Mighty Ducks, and She's All That. Don't judge me. Anyway, by the end of the movie, Bart and Kelly, I believe, are in his room, and they're just talking. And Bart says to Kelly, I don't know what your motive is. Like, you sweet talk my family. My family is your biggest cheerleader now. I don't know what your end game is.
Like back in the dining room?
What was that?
I've noticed your magnolias. Very fine specimens. It was real?
What the hell does that have to do with anything?
You seem to have your own agenda, that's all.
Well, Bart, I do have my own agenda. What other reason is there to do anything?
I'm just saying, I know the difference between fantasy and reality.
Oh, okay, so you're saying that I don't know the difference?
I don't know.
You don't know what, Bart? You don't know if you just said that to me?
It's a legit question for Bart to ask because at this point Kelly's just kind of floating around doing whatever he wants with Bart. They never really do anything Bart wants to do, or Kelly never is friendly enough to ask to do something that Bart wants to do. All they're ever doing is planning to revenge on Kelly's bully. Kelly goes over to his house to see his sister, who he's into, and that's about it. They get drunk together. I mean, that's something that they did together that was genuine. They do war reenactment stuff, but besides that, I think it's a legit question to ask, and I would understand why Bart is a little worried and concerned. The Bart and Kelly dynamic in this movie is more hits than it is misses, and the build-up and payoff of these characters show both perspectives, and you understand where both of them come from. And by the end of this movie, Kelly does need to be knocked on his ass. He does need to fail over and over again, and just realize that what he's doing isn't right. He's not really being a friend. I think with having this film being directed by two new filmmakers, it left the message a little muddled. But at the same time, I like that because it kind of exemplified that in life, circumstances don't have rhymes or reasons as to why they happen. But in that, the middle of the film is messy, and towards the end of the movie, it is messy, but the actual ending of itself is solid. It gives you a conclusion that is enough. It's not fully fulfilling, which we'll get into the negatives, but it does not tie up all the loose ends, and I would like to get into the negatives of the movie. Also, the movie ends with a early 2000s Peter Gabriel song I did not know existed until I watched this movie, and that's fantastic. It's amazing! reshoots to pad out scenes, especially in the messy middle of the movie. There's literally a scene where it goes from Kelly's house to the grocery store to the mansion, back to Kelly's house in less than 7 minutes. We needed reshoots to have scenes that had the context of those scenes put in one location so that it was not too jarring too quick, and I believe that is a fault of the movie. This film certainly isn't Three Eyes Wide Shut, if you bloody know what I mean. Actually, nothing could compare to that movie, so I take that comment back. Let me preface this. I love the relationship between the father and the son. I think Shia Labeouf and the actor who plays the father, who played the Grim Reaper in Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, I think they did a great job of establishing this broken relationship, the tension between each other. I think they did a great job with that. And the conclusion at the end of the movie with that storyline is a loose thread that does not get resolved because they cut the actual scene where there is finality, and that is a big no-no. They literally should have had a scene that they reshot where instead of a three-way hug it ended on, where the dad just puts his hand on Kelly's shoulder, which I think you can just freeze frame on that. But I'm going to show you the deleted scene here.
Any battles this weekend?
Few. It looks good.
What, Kelly? What?
I finish the scene, I walk out and I see my mom and she's crying. You gotta understand, it's like, I've been doing this for a while. This is like my Little League. When I saw my mom crying, it was sort of like the coach giving me the game ball, you know? It felt really good.
You see, the thing is the relationship between the father and son is almost resolved. It's almost fixed, but there's just something left off, and I'd like to fix that. So here's how I would fix this scene. I'm going to use my animatics I drew. So I would have Kelly sitting on the bed, him and his dad are watching TV. The mom walks in, smiles. He gets up, he tries to leave because he's very emotional. He hugs the mom, and then the dad gets up and he puts his hand on his shoulder. Okay. That's how it originally happened, right? But my thing is, we have a scene where the dad and mom are sitting beside the hospital bed while Kelly's there, kind of like a therapy chair, and he is telling his family, his parents, what happened in the movie, what's been going on with him, because he's been so shut off from them. He hasn't let them in on his life in a long time. So with him finally narrating what's been going on with his life and his family having little quips and knowledge inserted in there, I think that would be a good way to fade into the happy ending, fade into him resolving his things with his bully. That's how I would fix the hospital scene and have a more clear ending for that plot thread. A man I respect once said that it's easy to critique something in a written review or a YouTube video, but what really counts is when you're on set burning money and making those decisions. That man's name was Sam Witwer. And ever since I heard that quote stuck with me. It made sense to me, and it's why I know I'm not a critic. When I see movies that I like, I take the things that I like about it, I take the ambition, I respect that, and I see the faults, and I acknowledge them straightforward for what they are. Sometimes they're laughable, sometimes they are easy things that can be fixed, and that's what I'm trying to do here. It's me trying to make a better scene play out in a movie I like. I realized I'm just a dude with a vision, or just with his own passions, talking about movies he thinks are hidden gems or just so bad they're good. And am I saying there's no value in being a critic? No, that's not for me to say. I'm just saying it's not me. I see a movie I like, and I see the ambition, I see the things that they were trying to do, and I respect it for that. And when I see the faults, I call it like it is. I laugh when they're really bad, or when they're really simply easy to fix. I just go, okay, well, this is how I would do it. I try to add to it without just being another senseless voice. The hospital scene originally ended in a three-way hug, which was cringe, but it's another instance of this movie needed another shot taken in the hospital that day, or just reshoots where they recreated the hospital room and redid the whole entire scene. But the movie had a $1 million budget. I think there's some leeway there because they didn't have a lot of cha-chang. It's funny because coming-of-age movies nowadays have like usually a budget of like $50 million. And what saves this movie from being a complete piece of shit? Well, the acting is top-notch. The writing is top-notch. It transcends bad directors or just terrible production, which the production of this was very messy if you watched the Project Greenlight. And the directors are competent. They know how to shoot scenes. They edited the movie down to the way that it is now, so it's 75% competent directing and editing, so I would give them some praise for that as well. So what is this movie, if you didn't understand the whole context of how I was talking throughout this video? The film's not Oscar-worthy, but Shia's performance is pretty great. I mean, here's the roof. Here's him dancing on the roof like he owns the place. This is a coming-of-age Shia Labeouf-led film. Shit. That is messy. Not perfect, but above average. And if you're looking for something that doesn't hold your hand and just doesn't spoon-feed you who's good and who's bad, I would recommend you watch this movie. It's certainly not everyone's cup of tea, I'll say that, but I definitely enjoy it. I'll give this film my personal rating of 8 Louis Stevens out of 10. I'd also like to show off I made a better poster for this movie, and I'd like to show that off. If you'd like to see a full version of this, please check out my Twitter. A special shout out to my dad who told me about this movie. Love you, Pops. And stay tuned because I got 2 suits, 2 tokens in hand. Got no respect because I'm the new man. Got my shovel, shoes full of sand. Check out the tag, the name's Caveman.
Beats, man. Oh, that's what we're doing. We're singing. Y'all know nothing about that. Watch me. Watch me. Come on, Ed. Come on, Ed. Prove yourself. Take it out. Dig it out, dig it out, dig it out. 2 suits, 2 tokens in hand. I got no respect cause I'm the new man. Got my shovel, shoes full of sand. Check out the tag, the name's Caveman. Hey Ma.
Hi, Steve.
This is my mom, everyone. Shia Labeouf, the lovely jewel in the family.
Oh, I had fun just now in the health food store.
What do you got? What are you drinking?
Health food. Everything in there is health food.
What?
This is vanilla almond. A Swilo juice.
Vanilla almond. What kind of crappy drink is that, Ma?